Welcome to Rewired Inspired. I am your host, Elena Petrescu. I'm a certified hypnotist, numerologist, and a body language expert on a mission to awaken the brilliance that already lives inside you. This podcast is an invitation to expand your consciousness, release limitations, and step into a frequency of clarity, confidence, and creation. Each episode blends practical insights with spiritual awareness. You'll hear stories of transformation from inspired leaders who have turned challenges into breakthroughs and fear into purpose. Their experiences remind us that growth is not just about success, it's about becoming more aligned, more awake, and more spiritual. And today I have a very beautiful guest. Her name is Tayria Ward, Ph.D. She lives in Asheville, North Carolina, where she has a private practice offering dream analysis, psychological, and spiritual guidance to clients from all parts of the world. Tayria has worked intensively with her own and other people's dreams for more than 50 years, and for nearly 30 years has been an avid student of Indigenous, also an Indigenous way of knowing and being. In addition to her one on one sessions with clients, Tairia also conducts a monthly global community dream symposium wherein persons from all over the world come to share their dreams and listen to the collective dreaming mind, conducts small private dream groups, and teaches to a wide audience in regular lecture and interviews. She also offers private oracle readings upon request. Tyria, a warm welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And I really, really honor and love the intention of your creating this show. And I just send love and greetings to all of your listeners. We're recording this early December, so this is a sacred time of year going toward the solstice and the new year and all. So I feel like we're in this really beautiful moment to be talking about something that's very sacred to me.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. So,
And
yes, please.
I was going to ask you to tell the audience, how did all this dream reading started? Your story from the beginning, so that the listener can live vicariously to your processes, your challenges, and every wisdom that you can share with us from when you first started to do what you're doing today.
Ooh, I love that question. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. So thanks for asking it. So my journey with dreams began. I love telling the journey. It began well when I was a child. I had very vivid dreams, and I used to try to talk to them about people about them, my parents or siblings or others, and I never got any interest or response. So I finally figured it out that even though I had this vivid life, it was mine alone. I didn't have any support for how to enjoy it or think about it or anything. It was just a very private part of my life. So when I was 24 years old, a good friend of mine who later became my husband introduced me to a spiritual teacher. Her name was Anne Colton. And one of the ways that I knew that I wanted her to be my spiritual teacher was that one of her main sort of tenets that she worked with her students on was listening to dreams. And I thought, I felt oxygen coming into my lungs for the first time on this whole subject. It's like, she will help me with, understanding and appreciating and learning about what this whole world that I inhabit is about. And she was very gifted about the dreams. She could read your dreams like nobody else I've ever met. She really knew how to discern, the depths of your dream. She was quite a mystic. She was like in the tradition of Helena Blavatsky or somebody who really knew the ancient esoteric knowledge and wisdom, had studied it all. So
Mm.
anyway, it was marvelous. I studied with her for 20 years. I was part of her group, and I became a minister in that group. So at age 24, I'm 74 now. So this is a full 50 years that we're talking about.
Yes.
Age 24, I started writing down my dreams, and interestingly, in a journal just like this. I was in grad school, and this was in the school uh, shop, that I picked up this this journal, and started using it for dreams. And I've been writing down my dreams in a journal like this for 50 years. I have a whole bookcase of these volumes. So, there's something that very sacred to me. I've even had dreams where if the house was burning down, I gathered up all my dream journals. That's the only thing I took when the house was burning down, is like, this is sacred. So I am happy to talk about the my journey with this. So anyway, I resigned from that ministry 20 years later and decided to get a Ph.D. in depth psychology because of my interest in Freud and Jung's approach to the dream. So I really wanted to learn their scientific approach to the dream. And and as I was doing my doctoral work, I started studying with Indigenous elders and shamans, and going on vision quests. And then I learned that the Indigenous ways of knowing and being that are so profoundly supportive of understanding our place in the earth and in the cosmos in a way that modern science doesn't comprehend or articulate. And that became very, very important to me, that study and that experience that I was having. And they listen to dreams every day. And so again, it's like my path with the dream just kept going. And, many Indigenous people get up every day and listen to the dreams of the village. And that's how they know. It's like reading the morning newspaper. That's how they know what's really happening, what the gods are saying, what the the collective mind wants them to know. Very practical, very cosmological information. All of it comes to the village through the dreaming. And so I studied with the Indigenous, and then I started my own retreat center in 2004 here in the mountains of North Carolina, where we worked with dreams. And also I led vision quests, and we worked with our connection with the intelligence and the consciousness of the more than human world. So
Mhm.
and now I live in Asheville, and I work with people in private one-on-one sessions, as well as do a lot of teaching on it, um, and podcasts like this. And I lead my own dream groups. And I have a monthly community dream symposium where we listen to the dreams of the community and know what the messages are, just like the Indigenous people do. The messages are for all of us. They're not just the dreamer, but all of us. So there's a long history. I was
A
going to say
beautiful.
short history, but it's kind of long too.
No, no, it's beautiful and it's fascinating. You mentioned so many beautiful things. The indigenous, how they listen to their dreams. Can you give us like, because you do interpret the dreams, right? So, and they don't just come for one person; they come for for a collective person. And you also showed us your journal that's very sacred to you.
Uh-huh.
When you started learning to interpret these dreams, what showed up that you felt was very significant, um, that related to you personally on your personal level?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Yeah, I wish I'd reflected more on that so I could bring more precise sort of stories about it. I mean, I'll tell you, I'll just tell you one that comes to mind. When I was
Mm.
just early on beginning to study with this teacher, Henri, and starting my whole journey spiritually that way, I had a dream where I was lying in my bed, um, and heard this knocking, just like, and it was like I listened to the knock on the door, and I realized that that has been happening all this time, but I didn't have the ears for it. I didn't have the maybe the frequency. I didn't understand, but it's like that knocking had been happening for a very long time. And so I knew that I was being addressed in that way. And then in the room, I saw it was like I was sleeping in a room where it was all glass. Um, and I was comfortable with that, but I realized that there wasn't the privacy that one usually, invites or experiences in the place that you sleep, but it was all glass and very visible. And so
Mhm.
when I came out of that dream, I thought instantly of the old saying, I'd been raised Catholic, and the Jesus said, behold, I stand at the door and knock. So then
Ah,
I realized, oh, this is that Christ consciousness that has been knocking my entire life, maybe lifetimes, who knows? It's been knocking and it's always knocking, but I didn't have the ears to hear it or understand that I was being addressed and called in this way. And then I understood about the glass is that there's nothing, no such thing as privacy. The gods, Jesus, whoever you pray to, we are seen and known at all times. We don't get to hide
yes.
from the great mind. It's like we're visible. And so get comfortable with this idea. You don't have such a thing as private thoughts. Your thoughts are known. You don't have such a thing as private actions. Your actions are known. And so it was like getting comfortable with this sort of idea of the omnipresent uh, presence, that I was inhabiting. So that was one of my first dreams. It's like, oh, okay, I'm on this spiritual path. It's been knocking all along. Get used to this connection that I have to the larger consciousness. And so, dreams like that all the time. Yeah, so I
Very
could talk about
powerful.
current dreams, and I have, lots of stories of dreams, but they're always telling us something. That's something to know. There is, even though you don't understand what the dream is saying, it's speaking its own language, and it seems like a foreign language, but it's the language of symbols and images. And once the language can be learned, once we
Hmm.
start unpacking the symbols and images, and no dream is a throwaway dream. They all have something for us. And that's to know. And it's been known since ancient times. Only in modern times did we become so stupidly arrogant to think that only this, mental scientific rationalism was the only way of
The
being.
only way.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's beautiful. So that was your confirmation that you were on the right path. And amazingly that, the omnipresence hears everything. So, um, I mean, that's so amazing. Now you mentioned symbols in dreams, and what happens? So I like to know some of the symbols for the audience to connect with. And also, can you touch on the fact that sometimes we don't remember that we are dreaming, and sometimes the dream is so vivid, and but then we wake up, and very shortly after that, we don't remember it.
right.
Can,
Yeah. Okay. So that, that always is a concern. And like I said, I've been doing this for 50 years and I still, they still just go away too quickly, too often, so
Mhm.
it's always a journey. It's so never feel discouraged, once you start, really attempting to work with your dreams, never feel discouraged. We will get dreams if we intend to. So part of, what I always suggest is to have a little like pad and paper right next to your bed. And I look at that pad and with a pen on it before I'm going to sleep and just make an intention,
Mhm.
talk to my own dreaming mind that I'm going to be paying attention. And then often if I wake up in the night and there's a dream there and I don't want to wake up, enough to get up, turn on the light, write it down, I'll just scribble on the page, just, I was at a conference, this person was there. A couple of things that will help me sort of pull it back in the morning. So you can just even without opening your eyes, learn to just transcribe a little bit. And then certainly if you get up and go to the restroom and have a little bit of a waking mind, you can write down what you were just doing. And then when you wake up in the morning, instead of just thinking, putting your feet on the floor and brushing your teeth or whatever's next, lie there and don't even move your body because the dream is kind of locked into even the position you are in the bed. So if it's possible, take that moment upon awakening to not move and to not think forward, but to look sort of backwards where you just were and see what remembrance comes. And sometimes the remembrance doesn't come until you do start brushing your teeth. And then it's like, oh, yeah. And so I always recommend write down quickly because it'll disappear as quickly as it arrived again. Some notes. And then as soon as you can in the day, I always make time for it. But if you can't make time for it, as soon as you can in the day, write down the dream. And I recommend it, your own dream journal because the dreams and your own dreaming mind knows that you're paying attention and it'll support that with you. So get a dream journal and
Mm.
write down what you can remember and then reflect on it. Um, I
Yeah.
can give you an example that I had recently of a dream. This was just a week or two ago. In the dream, somebody was in my house and said, it was, there were some friends there together and they said, okay, we're going to take out the trash, on the whole property. So everybody, we were each assigned a different room. So I was assigned the living room and the front porch, and somebody else was assigned the other rooms, and somebody else was assigned areas on the property. And we were taking out the trash. And so, I go to the living room thinking there might be a couple of things I'll find to put in my trash bag. But before I'm even halfway through the living room, I've got a whole trash bag full of things. It was like there were wrappers and things and papers underneath chairs, behind chairs. It was like, how did all this trash get in my living room? And I wasn't even aware of it. Um, and so the dream came, when I woke up from the dream, it was like I still hadn't finished it all, the living room. So I thought, what in the world? What is this dream of all the trash in my living room about? And then it occurred to me that I've been on this diet that my functional medicine doctor put me on, which is the autoimmune diet. Very restrictive, what I can eat or drink,
Mm.
very restrictive. And I realized my dream was telling me that by being on this very restrictive cleansing diet, I was taking out the trash in all of my cells and organs and this is my living room. This is where I live, right?
Yes.
And so the dream was affirming that this is a good idea, this diet. You're getting the trash out. And then you can just sort of feel clear and understand more about what your body wants to say to you. But when it's loaded with all the trash, you're not getting the clear signals for your own health.
Mm.
So it's symbols like that. You have to give it a minute. That took half a day before I got, oh, this is telling me that this diet is working and to stay on it and what it's doing. It was such helpful information because you start something like that and you really don't know. Your dreams will always help you with it.
Yeah. So you mentioned Freud, and I mean, I'm familiar a bit with Freud from the hypnosis point of view. Is it his correlation with dreams is to do with the subconscious, right? Because your subconscious holds on to that. And you just described that, oh, I realize, oh, I'm doing this and this is coming out. Is that something similar to what Freud was correlating with the dreams, or is it different?
No, it's very similar. I mean, yes. I mean, Freud was um, such an important voice in resurrecting our understanding of how valuable the dream is and how it's revealing what is in the subconscious. And Jung referred more to it as the unconscious
Unconscious.
Jung worked more with the collective unconscious. Freud didn't.
Yes.
Freud, it was very personal to him. It was only about you. It was only about your subconscious and what you need to know
Yeah.
about your own psychological and personal history that the dream is telling you. So he worked with it very differently than Jung. Jung kind of spread it out to the collective unconscious and to the more the more sort of spiritual and other dimensions and realms, that was the reason for his break with Freud, which was very
Yes.
painful for Jung, and disappointing to the Freudian community that he was, that he was going that direction. But
Yes.
yes, Freud, I mean, there's nothing. Dreams have all the different levels. So it always has a very personal level, like the Freudian approach to the dream. It's always there. And then, there are other levels to the dream, like what Jung espoused more. He didn't ignore the Freudian level, he just expanded it. And then the indigenous people, work with it even more in cosmologically, and collectively. So.
So talk to us about more about these levels, um, not just the personal. Can you expand a little bit on all these levels of dreams?
Yes, yes, I'm happy to. And when you write down your dream and start reflecting on it, reflect on all the different levels. So, like, well, just for example, since I just explained that one dream about taking out the trash, at the collective level, I felt like that's what many are trying to do is like, um, refresh what we have collected of just sort of trashy ideologies over the last few hundred years, of just ignoring the realm of the dream,
Mhm.
ignoring the voices of nature, ignoring we've just sort of trashed up our corporations and our government policies and all this with things that are ignoring um the
Even
real capacity
our
of
health as well, right? Because
exactly.
a lot of people ignoring their health, and well, it's partly our fault, but it's, there's other things that fit into it, just like you said, governments and
Right. So you can take the dream at all the different levels. First, a very personal level. I am on this diet, it's helping me. But then if you look at it even in a deeper, more Freudian way, you would see what are the concepts that I hold in my body, the subconscious sort of self-identity, ideals and so forth that need clearing that I haven't identified yet. That, whatever the psychological and spiritual work I'm doing is helping me to remove from my system, these old concepts, these old certainties that I had that need refreshing, so you look at it at a very personal level, and then, you extend it. What is the like family level? What is the level in my local community? What is the level in my nation? What is the level in the world? What is the level in the cosmic order? It's like all these different levels. The dream was talking about them all at once because it doesn't see any difference. We're all part of this whole larger system of life. Um,
yes.
and it's, it will lead to unity, sort of understanding the unity of all things if you can reflect on the dream at all the different levels and recognize that it has advice and guidance and information and insight at all the different levels. So in any dream that you look at, you can find it. So yes. And, I have been extremely intrigued with the indigenous concept of the dream time, which really acknowledges that we are dream bodies, that this is our physical matter body, but that in the subtle world we have a body that is not made of matter, but is made of energy and frequencies,
Mm.
and that is our dream body, and that we inhabit as well as this physical body.
Yes.
And so we inhabit the dream time. The indigenous people thought that the Western person had gone insane because we only dream when we go to sleep. They can just step into their dream body and dream waking and sleeping, at will. And so when I started learning that, everything started to make sense. It's like I realized that I inhabit other dimensions that aren't just this third dimension,
Yes.
that the dream body and all the people that we meet there and the events that we're attending and going to and work that we're doing in the dream time is happening even waking and sleeping. And we can step into that and become aware of it. So there's a part of me now sitting here talking to you. There might be another part that's talking to my sister in India, and she's
Mm.
aware of it. I've had that experience when she lived in India. I
Yes.
walked in the room and she was aware. So it's happening whether we realize it or not, but the
Or
dream
not.
will help us to get to that dimension of our being.
Yes. Well, very few people realize that this is happening. And I personally think that the indigenous were always more grounded, more connected to earth with their light body as well, not just with the physical um and that's pretty interesting how you explained it, because I think so many people need to understand that we can dream while we are away. We can
Yeah.
step into that dream and move from the third dimension to the fourth and the fifth. Um, I'm curious to know what happens when there are times when I experience this myself as well. When you have that feeling that you're falling while you go to sleep, when you fall asleep and you have this oof, fall, and then you come up and you realize, oh, it was only a dream.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it probably is different for different people at different times, so I don't think there's one explanation for that. I can give you my thoughts on it and my experience with it.
Okay.
Um, I can remember one dream experience that was really more of an experience uh, than a dream, where I was like in the dream, I was sleeping on my bed. I was aware of my body on the bed, but then I was aware of my body floating above the bed. So I was in that other dimension, other realm, and there was, I won't go into all, but it was powerful what was I was experiencing there. And then it was time to come back to my body, and there was this feeling of falling, 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 and it was greater and greater and greater density, that I had to like bring my body back into this density that is the matter, the third dimension
Mhm.
sort of matter. And, when I woke up and then I was in my body and I could wake up but was fully remembering. I remember this as if it happened yesterday and it was years ago, but um, fully remembering where I'd just been. But in this body is this, I had to fall into it and get into the denser matter, and then became aware of, a lot of mystics and indigenous people will say this reality that we're living here, what we call, reality, is really
Yeah.
not real. It's this very dense system that we're in that doesn't really even reflect who we actually are at all the different levels of our being. This is just one tiny level of our being. We've thought made it into everything, and it's not. And so,
Yes.
sometimes I think the falling dreams can be falling into the greater density of things, coming back from where you have been that was less dense. It
Mm.
might be also, the experience of going into the underworlds, which, are
Mm.
the inner earth kind of experiences, going to these other realms that are considered the underworld, which are fascinating and sort of the subterranean aspects of our own being and psyche that have a lot of information and a lot of intelligence, so it can be like falling into that. I think it might have to do with gravity too. Yeah.
Have you had an experience where you went to a certain dimension and then you received certain messages that you could bring back for the collectives?
Yes.
Do you want to share a little bit of that? Or
Oh,
it's
okay. So information to bring back to the collective. Well, one dream that comes to mind uh, actually was of one of my former students. She was in a dream group that I did, a small dream group that I did, and it comes to the dream symposium a lot, and she's a friend. Um, Her name's Sarah Conley, but she had this powerful dream where I wish I could remember all the terminology that she used, but I can give you the concept of it. She
yeah.
saw the earth, as it is right now, and then right next to it was this whole other dimension of earth, which, in the prophecies they call the new earth. Um, and even in the scriptures, they call this the new earth, and that we were entering the new earth. And she saw the vibrational frequency between this earth, which may be more dense um, in the experience that we're having, and then the frequencies of the new earth, and was recognize that the new earth and these other dimensional frequencies, she recognized something about the field, and I wish I could tell you the exact words she used about it, but it's like it's already there. This new earth is already there. We just have to awaken our consciousness to it. And her dream was very explicit. Now, it was so well told. We told it at the Dream Symposium, that it was the monthly Dream Symposium. Um, and a dream like that is for all of us. You know, it's helpful for one person, but these are the messages. The shamans, in the villages used to have the dreams for the whole community, and now as Thomas Berry says, the shamanic dimension of the psyche is all in all of us, and we all have to awaken to that dimension of our own psyche, and the dreams will take us there. So in
Yes.
the shamanic dimension, these are the dreams that need to be heard. That's why we do the dream symposium, so that we can understand what's happening, that this new earth is now here, it's available. We just have to tune into it and maybe take out the trash, like my
Yeah.
trainer was saying, is take out the trash so that we can, reverberate, resonate with the frequencies of the new earth. So get out the old concepts, get out the old sort of bad habits of thinking, the
Yes.
self-diminishing
So
ideas and, all of it. So
all the brainwashing as well, I would
yeah,
say.
so those dreams happen all the time. If you want, I suppose at the end of the podcast, I can give a little more information. But if you want to come to the dream symposiums, they're monthly. We're having one this Friday. Oh, you won't be airing this yet, but anyway, you'll go to my website and find the dates, and they're free, and everybody's welcome.
You can give us the details here because I'm assuming you do them regularly. So this will air probably in January, but people can um, they can pick it up from here in January and they'll find you. And of course, I would love for them to go and experience what you do with the symposium. So I will be asking you for that. Do you have a certain process that you go through when you do the symposium? Is there um, like, do you have a protocol? Do you say a prayer before, or how do you kind of start the symposium? Like, what is the process for people to understand that, you know, what is the process of do people get to dream, or they just bring the dreams there and you're interpreting them?
Well, that's a really good question. Really, the process is opening the Zoom room and greeting everyone. And then we have sort of opening ideas and thoughts that my colleague Jocelyn Starfeather and I have been doing this together for um, more than 9 years now. So almost 10 actually.
Wow.
So so we've been doing this monthly. So the dreaming community comes in and we greet everyone, and we sort of read on the chat where everybody's coming in from, all different nations and places and time zones, and everybody coming together to talk about the dreaming. And we have some opening thoughts and but we all sort of instantly move into that heart space. Dream space is heart space. It's moving
Mhm.
out of the rational intellect into the dreaming mind, which is more the heart-centered wisdom. And then usually we start with a dream or two that, just to sort of set the field a little bit. Every monthly announcement has a dream in it that then I open with, just describing. And then we open it to the community, and people put up their hands, and we get to as many people as we can, and we listen to the dream, and I'll do some reflections on it. I don't do any personal interpretations, private
Mhm.
level of interpretation in the public forum, because that wouldn't be appropriate. It would,
Yeah.
so we just listen to what the dream has for the community, which is always that level that's there in every dream that they decide to share. And often they bring the dreams that are most obviously community-oriented dreams. But every dream has something for us. So,
I have one more question for you. And this is something that I've experienced myself, and I want your expertise on it, whether it was a dream or whether it was an out of body experience.
oh, uh-huh.
Because I don't know if there is a correlation. I felt it was an out of body experience, but then because I remembered it so vividly, and then I thought maybe it wasn't, maybe I was dreaming. So I was sleeping, and all of a sudden I felt my body my body was actually going up, and I could feel my body elevating, and I could see down. And all I could see down was children, all dressed in white, and they had these little nice tiaras made out of flowers. And there was a couple of ladies, young, which to me at the time seemed that they were the parents of the children. Everybody was dressed in white. When I was elevating and elevating and elevating, and I could see everybody, and it felt like I was guiding them to do something, but I don't know what. And it didn't last for very long. Maybe, maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute, no. Then I came back to my awareness and I was thinking, wow, I saw all these beautiful children all dressed in white, very happy. Was it a dream or was it an out of body experience? I was asking myself because it was so real. I love your take on it.
Well, what a fabulous, beautiful experience. And thank you for sharing that with us. I think it's so valuable. And I will say there's no difference between a dream and an out-of-body experience. When we dream, we're moving into our dream body, which has its own life. And that's kind of like what the Indigenous people say, they can do it while they're awake or asleep. So, it sounds like you were aware of yourself as awake when you entered this experience, and then felt maybe you'd been sleeping. So, but you were in this, even scientifically, they could tell you where the brain waves were, and we can enter those brain waves. If we understood more about it, we could enter those brain waves, waking and sleeping. So you were in that dreamtime dimension where you were seeing, and the vision itself is so glorious. It's maybe seeing the children of earth, in their true garments, that were expressed by the white clothing and the flowers. It's just like, those are all the children of earth, that you were seeing. And the idea that you were conducting a ritual, I think, is to know that in these dimensions, we do have our own ministry, our own service. Um, my spiritual teacher that I mentioned to you, she used to say, when you go to sleep at night, ask that you be of service as you sleep, so that we go into those dimensions and know that we can be of service. And I've had many dreams where I knew, like I was teaching songs to some of these immigrants that were in prison. I was
Mhm.
there and I was teaching them songs, helping them get to a place of unity with their own sort of inner peace. Um, so, I mean, we can do this at night, and you were doing that, in your dream body. Um,
Yes,
so there's no difference really, between out of body and dream body. Uh,
that's
it's
pretty interesting. Yeah,
uh,
makes absolute sense. So go with the intention that we want to serve. That's also something that it's profound because if we I know that everything is about intention, but I never thought that I could go to sleep and say, well, I want to have a dream where I can serve. That's actually very, very beautiful. Is there anything that you would love to share with us that you feel the audience need to listen to, especially now that, we talked about the dense world and the new world that we're moving in. And the intention is for everybody to be aware and awake and realize that, yes, there is other dimensions and that we need to, hey, wake up and get more grounded. Um, what would you suggest to them that they should do to get back to their, to that service where they can serve in their dreams, or to get to dream more if that needs to happen for them to be awake?
Oh, that's lovely. Lovely question. Now, I would say to when you go to sleep, if it's in your heart to say that prayer, I want to be of service as I sleep. The universe is going to use your intention. You are going to be of service as you sleep, whether you remember it or not. So it's really to recognize that your intention of going out in your dream body and being of service is happening, whether we're able to bring back the memory of the dream or not. So just to know that it's always happening. And so, in terms of just leaving this community with some thoughts, to work with, I would say that uh, to recognize the recovery of our dreaming. It's the dreams are in all the myths and stories of ancient times to present. Dreams are in all the scriptures. Muhammad got the whole Quran in a dream. All of Buddhism was based on 5 dreams of Buddhas. The whole story of the New Testament, was Joseph's dreams to take Mary as his wife, and to name him Jesus, and all, and to take them to Egypt. All that was in the dreaming. Um,
Yes,
so, it's throughout the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Judeo-Christian scriptures. It's in all the other scriptures as well. So we've always known the potency and the power of the dream. And, in the last few hundred years of scientific rationalism, they've been diminished. If
diminished.
we'd been listening to the dream, we wouldn't be poisoning the water and the air
Yes,
because the dream would not allow for that. So they had to cut off that because the dreams were not supportive of where they decided to go with all this. So we have to
yes.
recover it now so that we know how to live sanely and healthily on this planet and take out the
Agreed.
trash, of these old.
Agreed, yes. We
Um,
need to take out the trash. Lots of people need to take out the trash.
yeah, but let me read you this beautiful say or quotation of Anthony Stevens. He wrote a book. He was a Jungian author. He wrote a book called The 2 Million Year Old Self, which was the term of Jung's. He said, "We should regard dreams as an endangered species, a casualty of technological advance. Dreams are an oasis of spiritual vitality. They represent our primordial habitat, our last wilderness, and we must protect them with as much fervor as the rainforests, the ozone layer, the elephant, and the whale." And I feel
That
it's
means
my
protect the
heart mission,
water. Yes,
obviously, to protect the dream and the dreaming, because it's where the real wisdom and intelligence and values
comes.
are for all of us, and everything's dreaming,
Yes,
rocks are dreaming, animals are dreaming, birds are dreaming, the water is dreaming, everything's in the dreaming, so it's
yes,
all conscious and intelligent there. So,
yes.
yeah.
That is so beautiful. Taria, Tayria, I like you to share with us if anybody wants to get a hold of you, tell us where they can find your symposium, your website, so that people can reach out to you and learn more about the beautiful work that you do.
Oh, thank you for asking. Yes, my website is tariaward.com. So it's TAYRIAWARD.com. That's my website. And if you go on the first page, the homepage of my website, there's a place to sign up for my newsletter. I don't send a lot out, so don't worry about it being something that you're going to receive lots and lots and lots of emails from it. But I will be sending out notices about the dates of the Dream Symposiums and the links to join. And also on the website is a page called the Dream Symposium that will have the dates coming forward, going forward. So the dates are always there and the link is always there. So even if you don't get the email, you can find it on my website and just go to the Dream Symposium page and get the dates and the times. And it's always at noon Eastern time on a Friday every month.
And everybody can join, right?
And
Everybody can
everybody
join.
can join. It's free to join and everyone is welcome. And so you can just come and listen to the dreaming of the community, bring a dream if you have a dream to share. And you know, it stimulates your own connection to the dream time, to your dreaming, and it helps you get good information because, you know, it's valuable information that's coming to us through these dreams.
Yeah.
So everybody's welcome. But if you want to work with me personally, I do oracle readings, tarot. You know, I learned that in a dream. I was led like 30 years ago to study the tarot. I
Wow.
would have never thought of it. But
Okay.
you know, so I do that. I also drew dream analysis and also just psychological and spiritual sort of guidance for private clients. And I have
Mm.
small dream groups that come up occasionally, 6-week dream groups where just a few of us get in and we work the personal level of the dreams. And then I do lectures and podcasts and things like that. I put that on my website. So TayriaWard.com. And if you want to write to me, you can write. You know, there's a contact page there, but also I'll just spell out my email address. Anybody's welcome to contact me through TAYRIAW at sbcglobal.net. So Taria W at sbcglobal.net. That's my email address, and you're most welcome to contact me that way as well.
Maria, thank you so much for being on my show. I so enjoyed our conversation, and you know, I probably will have you back again in a few, maybe next year, or who knows. And I hope the listeners will reach out to you because I think everybody needs to know how important dreaming is. So, welcome, thank you, and God bless you for the good work that you do.
Thank you for the invitation and for your beautiful, wonderful questions. It was just a delight to talk with you. I really value this time we've spent.
Me too. Thank you. For so